Hello, welcome to Brain Fog Into the Mind, a series that brings light to the dark corners of the brain, in video game form. Today's game of choice is Needy Streamer Overload, and we're talking about our favorite streamer, K-Angel. Well, more specifically, Ame, the girl behind the persona. She's a content creator who suffers from major depressive disorder with a heavy dose of imposter syndrome. This is going to get quite a bit dark, and there will be talk of such critical things as SH and suicide. So if you're not in the best state of mind, I understand finding another video. Before we start, I have some disclaimers to make. I'd like to state that I'm not a psychologist, nor am I in an institution to become one. Everything you're going to hear is merely speculation, an opinion based on the research I have at hand. I also want to make it clear right here that depression is treatable with therapy and medication if needed. I don't want to overlook that. This is not to create a stigma, and any depression diagnosis is not the end. With that said, Ame is your girlfriend. Look at how cute she is. She wants to become a streamer and hit 1 million subscribers within a month's time. That's a hefty goal and also incredibly stress-inducing. She already has mental illnesses that she takes medication for, and this stress only exacerbates those illnesses. Going through the game, we help her find inspiration for her streams, help her de-stress, make sure we keep her mental state stable, and mod for her streams, which seems to be getting bigger and bigger by the day. However, you can't always make the right moves, and there are things that will undoubtedly get to her, to the point where she can't take it anymore. She leans on you for support throughout the game, and it's up to you to make sure that she stays happy, even though it's inevitable. She can't be happy all the time. The first time she gets too stressed, she asks you to do something drastic. She asks you to hurt her. It's hard to watch, and even harder to play. The story of Ame isn't very long, but it's incredibly impactful. What's so scary about this game isn't just the fact that Ame is hurting, isn't the fact that she's so stressed and worried about not only her follow count or her image. Rather, it's scary because of how it mirrors real-life situations, and how there's a dark side to content creation that exists but is rarely seen. The worry of your subscriber or follow count, the hope that you're doing well by your fans, but the concern that maybe you're not. The scramble to figure out what you're creating next. The hard climb and grind to a goal. The desperate way to constantly one-up yourself. The hope that all that people watch you for you. The terrible feeling that maybe they don't. Or maybe the person that comes up when the camera's on isn't the real you at all. This is what Ame goes through in the game, and for some content creators, this is their real life. So today what we're going to go through is the effects of depression, what imposter syndrome is and how Ame has it, and how what is said online can truly impact another person. Let's begin. As previously stated, I believe Ame has major depressive disorder. Let's start by just defining depression. It's a low sad state marked by significant levels of sadness, lack of energy, low self-worth, guilt, and other related symptoms. Depression is one of the most common mental illnesses in the US, with an estimated 4.1 million teens aged 12 to 17 having had at least one episode. That's about 17% of the teen population. Now, major depressive disorder is a severe pattern of depression that is disabling and not caused by drugs or a general medical condition. It includes symptoms of depression that last for at least 2 weeks. To be diagnosed with MDD, one must have 5 within the following symptoms: lower depressed mood, decreased interest in pleasurable activities, feelings of guilt or worthlessness, lack of energy, poor concentration, appetite changes, sleep disturbances, and suicidal thoughts. Ame absolutely hits about 5 of these, with a depressed mood, not being interested in certain things she usually enjoys, feeling worthless, a lack of energy, and suicidal thoughts. I'm also of the opinion that while Ame has this illness, it's only exacerbated by social media and streaming. According to a study by Elizabeth G. Spitzer and colleagues, in 2019, 11.8% of teenagers in the US confessed to having suicidal suicidal ideation, and 90% of them were using social media. Negative impressions of social media are linked to depression and SH among young adults, as well as other self-inflicted harmful behaviors, especially suicidal ideation. It's one of the biggest symptoms of the negative effects that social media can have. This could be because they lack the feeling of belonging. They don't have a connection to others or strong, meaningful relationships. Loneliness and isolation seem to be the biggest symptom to this. To Ame, her fans are there, sure, but none of them really know her. And her perception is that they don't seem to care about her or her well-being either. She doesn't feel like she truly belongs anywhere, and K-Angel is the one that everyone adores, adding to her isolation. Which is a wonderful segue to the next point. I believe Ame also has an unhealthy dose of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, or imposter phenomenon, exists when a person isn't able to internalize and accept their achievements. They doubt themselves heavily and feel like a fraud. They're afraid that others will expose them as the fraud they perceive themselves to be. The imposter syndrome is generally paired with anxiety, low self-esteem, social dysfunctions, and depression. It can also be more common when people start or try something new. Imposter syndrome detracts from professional performance and can also cause emotional exhaustion and burnout. People suffering from this can't accept that their accomplishments are caused by their own competence, usually attributing it to something else, like luck, help from others, or other factors that aren't themselves and their own hard work. People suffering from imposter syndrome tend to underplay or outright deny their accomplishments and overly worry about their mistakes. They can become neurotic, perfectionistic, and feel guilt, shame, frustration, and burnout. It can hinder one's sense of autonomy, social relations, professional goal-directedness, and self-esteem. Studies show that 70% of the general public feel like an imposter at one point or another. It hits people who are usually high-achieving greatly, and there's a perfectionistic streak within them usually. Ame cares so much about K-Angel, her persona, but she regularly points out that the people like K-Angel, that she wishes she were K-Angel, regardless of the fact that K-Angel is herself. The difference between herself and her persona is so great that it's basically fact to her that no one cares about Ame, just K-Angel. Her accomplishments aren't her own, they're K-Angel's. She doesn't see herself as K-Angel, and she seems to feel like a bystander to her own fame at times. Throughout the game, every now and again, Ame will complain about her haters or people posting negative things about her online. While it's here and there, you can really see the negativity in her streams. At least one comment in her stream will be negative. At least. There's usually more than one. By the end of this specific route, Ame becomes the Dark Angel. She reached her 1 million subscriber milestone, but she's let the negativity and the cyberbullying finally take over her thoughts. She starts up a stream with a darker color palette than normal. Even as she talks about how no one's there to support her, but rather hurt her, you can still see negative comments next to the positive in her stream chat. She talks about all she's seen, like slandering, targeted harassment, bullying, violence, echo chambers, extreme cults. Only when she goes into this diatribe does the chat finally become concerned, and even so, there are still some who can't or won't take it seriously. The next day, the dark color palette continues, and so does the bleak outlook on not only her following, but humanity in general. She opens up about her SH, and again, while some people in her chat are empathetic, there are still some that just cannot take it seriously. She ponders over how to make them hurt like they've hurt her, and it only takes a moment before there's blood on the screen. She's unalived herself in front of many viewers, live on stream. It's a dark ending to a dark game, but one that's loosely based on reality. Suicide is the second leading cause of death to young people aged 10 to 24 globally. The Pew Research Center found that the higher risk of suicidal ideation paralleled with the time spent on social media, as well as the type of social media used. For teens who are on the internet for over 2 hours, their mental health will be impacted negatively, but content creators are at a higher risk than others. content creators who are also cyberbullied are at the highest risk for a declining mental state. So thanks to haters and cyberbullying, Ame has finally had enough. Her dark thoughts took her over and she made a drastic choice. Such is the fate of the internet-addicted girl-turned-streamer. But what makes social media so addictive in the first place? Social media has a reinforcing nature. Using it activates the brain's reward center by releasing dopamine, the good brain juice. It also allows content creators especially to feel validated, worthy, and even adored. The platforms are designed to be addictive, but are associated with anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments. According to the Pew Research Center, 69% of adults and 81% of teens in the US use social media. This puts a large amount of the population at an increased risk of feeling anxious, depressed, or ill over their social media use. In a study by Michelle O'Reilly and colleagues, this is what they had to say about the link between social media and mental health. The teen age is an important time of psychological, biological, and social change. They adjust their needs and learn new skills, learn of new responsibilities, and learn about romantic relationships. It's at this point that they really define their sense of identity and have greater autonomy. While mental health is important, teens seem to have little knowledge of what it means to actually be mentally healthy and stay that way. There are a couple of ways that teens see social media, and it's a combination of a library of knowledge and a way for them to express their thoughts and opinions. Social media is growing to become important to a teenager's social and emotional development. Asking the teenagers in this study, they described social media as dangerous. Here are the top 3 reasons they gave. Social media can cause stress, depression, low self-esteem, and suicidal ideation. The emotional side effects of being on social media from the teens' perspective were said to be a low mood and low self-esteem because of photoshopped images, with the argument being that there's a body image expectation and the fact that teens themselves can be incredibly impressionable. The Pew Research Center study found that approximately 46% of teen social media users felt overwhelmed by drama and cyberbullying. 43% felt pressured to only post content that looked good to others. And 37% felt pressured to only post content that would attain likes and comments. And 26% felt worse about themselves due to what they saw on social media. Along with this, some teens emphasized that they felt that social media could push others to depression and, in more extreme cases, suicide, and they were adamant in this view. That view is exacerbated when talking about things like being targeted on social media being a long-term effect. This is particularly harmful for people who are more impressionable or vulnerable. They may be tempted to copy risky behaviors like SH as seen on social media to cope with their own problems. Social media opens people to bullying and trolling. One of the bigger problems with the internet and social media is the rise of cyberbullying. It was talked about much amongst the teens, and they felt it was a real risk to their mental health and well-being. They blamed social media for facilitating cyberbullying. Teens said that social media has given a platform for others to have bullying behaviors, which can give teens a sense of isolation and negatively impact them. Bullying has been a problem for years and years, but usually it stops at the end of the school's boundaries. With social media, there's no such thing as boundaries. That means there's almost no escape as social media invades life outside of school, and the bullying goes further than it should. Social media has formed a culture where cyberbullying has more consistency and continuity than ever before, and can thrive. Anonymity was a big point amongst the teens, and they think it's problematic. They stated that social media allows these things much more because people can be completely hidden just so that they can take advantage of being anonymous. From 14 to 18-year-olds, 33% had been a victim of trolls, with 25% of those being attacked regularly and 1 in 10 confessing to instigating trolling. Trolls have been discovered to be attention-seeking, vicious, uneducated, and having low consequences. The effects of these trolls were said to be severe. Social media is addictive. The teens in this study use social media often, and most of them said that it's addictive for some. They talked about others' addictions to social media, such as people can't survive without their phone, and social media is like an online drug, trying to explain how severe the perceived addiction is. They think that social media is as addictive as a drug and can be problematic. However, limited sleep was the primary problem that was reported. They described times where always being tied to their phone and social media had an impact on their sleep schedule. While the impact on teens and sleep was recognized, so was their dependence that they felt. They did say that they would keep checking to see if messages arrived in the night. The internet and social media isn't going anywhere, and it's safe to say that it's starting to become a vital part in people's lives. It's imperative to find ways to utilize social media in a more positive way and in ways that help mental well-being, not only in this group of teens, but with everyone. It's also important to manage the possible dangerous side effects. This includes educating the younger generation about what mental health and emotional well-being is, as well as mental illnesses and the ways of preventing this or managing it if they're diagnosed with the condition. Jacqueline Sperling, PhD, a psychologist at McLean Hospital, has a few ideas how to make social media a more positive experience. Like Instagram, who has started to limit likes, Sperling suggests social platforms consider decreasing mass sharing altogether and highlight one-on-one conversations. She encourages people to conduct their own behavior experiments by rating their emotions 1 to 10 before and after using social media sites at the same time each day for a week. If one notices that one feels less happy after using them, then maybe consider changing the use of social media sites and use them for less time and do other enjoyable activities instead. While Ame's story may hit a little too close to home for some, I want to end this on a hopeful note. There's plenty of positive effects of social media and the internet. The internet itself is a database of knowledge, and social media connects us with people that we otherwise may not have ever met. It's good for business opportunities, marketing, and networking. It can help young people become more socially capable. It can entertain people. It can help find support networks and groups for different illnesses or issues. Social media can be used to make acquaintances, colleagues, and lifelong friends. Please remember that there's always another person on the other side of the screen. Remember that we're all human on this little speck of dirt in the universe. We're all living our lives the best we know how, and you never know when someone behind the screen is struggling. You never know how little or how much someone is suffering. We are all capable of doing great things. We're capable of empathy and compassion. Let's all try to be a better version of ourselves than we were yesterday. Bless. And that's the end of the video. It was a dark one, and one that's a bit too close to reality for my liking. But I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. I hope you're doing well, and that you're taking care of yourself in the best way you know how. From one side of the screen to the other, you matter, even when you don't feel like it. I did put the Unalive hotline in the description of this video. I think that I might do that for videos to come as well. You never know when someone's really struggling, and I think it's important. I really feel passionate about this subject in particular, and empathetic to people who suffer from depression. It really is an illness that will eat away at you if you let it. But, at least in my experience, I've found there's always something to live for, even if it's a small, innocuous thing. The links to my team are in the description. Please go check them out. They're all amazing people who deserve the love. But for now, I'll be leaving you. But I'll be back with another, don't worry. Until next time, guys.